Hello there and welcome to my reaction to F3ncy, Oddities by Internet Historian. Is it on the main channel? Yes. I watched every other F3ncy video, I might as well watch this one, right? It's been 3 weeks since it came out. But I was on indefinite hiatus, never thought to come back. Anyway, let's immediately start this.
VPN.
I waited 3 weeks, Mr. Historian. Am I a good boy? Call me a good boy.
It's you.
I'm
You've
the boss.
completed the crash course on theatre and wine.
I did.
Feeling smug, are we?
Not really.
Deserving of love, perhaps?
Maybe.
Worthy of eye contact. That's cute.
Yes.
But there's still a lot more work to be done.
Oh.
Look here. These shoes are made from real Italian leather. This bag is made from the leather of real Italians. Not
I wouldn't say what's unique about that. I never understood that. Real Italian leather, so what? Like if I'm not in Italy, that means it was imported from Italy. And I really hate this. I really hate like the fashion industry and stuff. It's so pointless. It's so unbelievably shit.
impressed?
Anyway.
How about this
Overpriced
fur coat?
for no reason.
It's made from the wolf of Wall Street. An Xbox with the
Very airy.
original PT demo still installed.
Oh, that's worth
A signed
something.
first edition copy of Moby Dick with its little known sequel, Moby Balls. And last but not least,
Oh my god.
the squid from Squid Game.
Oh my
Did
god.
you get it?
It's his game.
Oddities. Weird stuff.
Yeah, this is probably gonna be my
First
favorite
sections on
episode of
perfume. Listen, I'm gonna level with you. I
F3ncy.
kind of got distracted.
Subtitles.
And we went off topic. I don't even know what this is about anymore. Here's my Netflix stand-up special. It should explain everything. That's going to be a hard act to
Laugh
follow.
factory,
That
alright.
Kramer guy has some very good one-liners. But I've got some jokes lined up.
Let's hear it.
Question. Why is perfume so expensive? Because you have to pay perfume. Why do they call it
Not the worst one I've ever
cologne?
heard.
Have you ever smelt one of those? It ain't great. Huh? Mic must not be working.
I love when people misspell
deodorant?
cologne.
In this market,
Of the
I'd
smell
want a
of cologne.
deodor buy. Is this thing on? Okay, let me tell you the story of perfume. See, to be fancy, people
Ooh,
want it to
that's a
stink
fancy
good,
guy.
but people naturally stink bad. It's science. So in the beginning, people went to the garden to find the best-smelling things that they could.
The
Here's
garden
a photo of
era.
the oldest perfume bottles ever found. And what's inside? Just garden stuff that smells nice. But we did
Fair
not
enough.
just stop at that.
That-
because the
I mean-
story of perfume is the story of progress.
You kinda don't need anything else.
By the time Cleopatra came around, perfume science had really advanced. You see, Cleopatra loved perfume. In fact, it was said that she had a whole perfume factory. The
Probably-
factory, I believe they called it. But this
Okay.
factory wasn't just mashing flowers.
Probably
They were
smells
using
nice.
emulsifiers,
Best smelling
adding resins,
factory ever.
creating tinctures. Cleopatra's very own Chanel No. 1 contained cardamom, cinnamon, olive oil, and myrrh. So we've gone from garden to pantry. And she loved spritzing the stuff everywhere, supposedly even spraying it all over the sails of her ship. That way people could smell her from miles off as she sailed the Nile.
Okay.
By the early Middle Ages, we had figured out the formula for perfume. Effectively, there are three
Norman
main
Rand.
components. Water, alcohol, and the most important bit, the aromatic oils. And by the way, perfume and cologne are actually the same thing, but in different ratios of these ingredients. By the 1600s, they were trying
Okay.
all sorts of different things. Some things went well.
Alchemy.
Dude, pine. Pine. What about orange? I call it new car smell. But once global trade opened up, our tastes became more exotic. out of the pantry and into the petting zoo. For you see, it turns out that animals have been hoarding all of the most bestest perfume smells. Yes.
They're gonna
In
be
the
killed
olden
for
days, a bunch
perfume?
of manly men would brave very rough seas in order to pull aboard sperm whales. Now, they would cut open
don't
the
wanna know what they
digestive
smell
tract
of.
and pluck out a secretion
Hope it's not
of
in the name.
bile called ambergris, or in English, grey amber. Sometimes they would harvest the rest of the whale, but eventually ambergris became so valuable that it was simply more economical to dump the carcass back in the ocean and collect the next batch. Like when you kill a racehorse for its prize-winning jizz and then just leave it there on the tracks. Alright, quick science lesson, eggheads. Ambergris comes from the gross part of the whale. And when the whale eats something quite sharp, let's say human bones, the ambergris forms around them and protects the lining of the gut. That's the ambergris' role. That way, as the sharp thing continues down the intestines, the whale doesn't get poked. But if ambergris comes from a whale's digestive tract, what does it smell like? Surely not good. When it's dry, it smells kind of woody and earthy, but when it's wet, it smells like ass. But it's not actually the smell that's the useful function.
Oh.
Ambergris is a fixative. So what it does is heighten and bring out the scent of other things. These
I
flowers,
see, it creates a chemical reaction that works
they
good.
smell all right, but
Yeah,
add some
perfume.
ambergris and that's the one. Now, once they figured this out, they realized, oh, there's a whole bunch of things
We're
we can
fucking
use a
whales.
fixative for. And they got quite gross with it. They added it to food.
Just a touch.
In fact, it was said that King Charles's favorite dish was ambergris on eggs. But they didn't stop there. They added it to rum, they added it to coffee, they added it to cigarettes and smoked it, and they used it as an aphrodisiac. Now, some people will say that the whale is a mammal. But that's not strictly true. It is in fact a fish. Just look at the tail. And you may have also heard that there are a lot fewer of them these days. Which
I wonder
although a
why.
relief, because their absence helps offset the sea level change, climate, whatever. We were worried that we might run out. So we said no more hunting whales for ambergris.
Good.
But did that stop the perfumers? No. They immediately asked, hey, do you think there are any other animals that smell kind of weird? Yes.
Oh, okay, I thought you just would
Turns
pay.
out the musk deer has some potential. Now we hunt the
guess
male
it's in the
musk
name.
deer specifically because it has a particular gland called a musk pod, which, when dried out,
Balls.
looks like this. And it uses it to mark its territory and attract mates. Now don't worry, unlike ambergris, this doesn't smell like ass. Instead, it smells like ammonia and piss. And you just can't get a smell like that at
My
all. So we
favorite!
started hunting them to the point where they were a protected species. So the authorities said, you have to find a different animal. So from there they moved on to hyrax feces. One of the most feared and dangerous animals in all of Africa. And it was the inspiration for the original Lynx Africa smell. Now, their feces, when dried, is called hyracium, or Africa stone. But it's
Terrible
not
name,
just
by the
these
way.
ones, they have other stones in Africa. Come on, guys. Now,
Yeah.
the smell is fairly similar to deer musk, but unlike the deer, the hyrax doesn't need to be killed or disturbed
Good.
for their feces. They're just giving it away.
Has
In fact,
fixative
hyrax
qualities.
even have a communal toilet, which is used for generations, which
how
makes it very
convenient.
easy to collect
Human.
up all the good stuff. But it's not just the hyrax, I've got other animals. Remember those civets from the virus videos? Wait, don't wash that thing's anus. Mom, get the bottle, get the bottle. Turns out it's the anal gland of the civet that's actually the important smelling bit.
Isn't this
Who's
one
figuring
extinct
this
fully?
out? Why don't they use the good parts of the animal? It's the bacon part of the pig, you know? Anyway, it's the ass that produces all the delicious musk.
It smells like shit.
Right, but it must be good for something because it
mean-
goes for $4,000 a kilo. But we ain't done yet. You know when you've just killed a beaver and you cut open its ripe abdomen?
Oh,
Well, the reason
yeah.
it smells so good
We've done it
is
last
because
week.
of the little gland called the castor sac. which makes a yellowy scum-like substance called castoreum, and it is used to waterproof the beaver's fur coat and also mark its territory. It is also very fragrant, and you know what that means. If it smells, it sells. And in this case,
Unfortunately.
castoreum is more kind of leathery, with smoky hints of vanilla. But unfortunately today, you're not allowed to harvest the beaver. They're walking around very smugly, just like the other protected animals. But you know what?
How
We
dare
don't
they.
need them, because we have a synthetic version of castoreum now, and it's just
okay.
as good. And you know what? We've got a synthetic for the whale, the deer, and the civet now. And they're used
Good.
in lots of mainstream perfumes. Modern day, we've got a synthetic version of practically everything. And even better, the advancement of
era, why is
synthetics
there
has opened up a
future?
huge range of smells that were never possible to distill or capture before. And the result is some very silly perfumes. You know that
Yeah.
bacon bit of the pig? We got that now. Windex smelling. Pretty much anything you can think of, really, someone has created a fragrance of it. In some instances, we're even
That woman's
beating
vagina,
nature
I forgot
herself.
what
For
her
example, you
name.
know those
Gwyneth
roses that you
Paltrow.
get at the florist? And then people go, ah, these smell beautiful. But actually, those roses are not bred to smell good. They're so specialized for good looks, longevity, and disease resistance that they've practically altogether lost their smell. So often what the florist
The
will do
perfume?
is add an additional scent to the flower post-picking. And typically a synthetic rose perfume is used because it lasts longer and doesn't dry out the flower. Yep, we're just that good. And what's the future for perfumes? Well, I don't know. But what I do know
Great.
is it's going to involve some comedy gold. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah.
That's
My
gonna be
wife
a
asked me
joke.
for Chanel number 5, and I was like, not right now. I'm watching the football.
Yeah, I knew where this was going.
You know, on the television. You know what? I am gonna say it. If it's good enough for Kramer, it's good enough for me. Ad time.
Good time.
This
Yeah.
Christmas, she works in the big city,
Oh my
Busy
God, she
professional.
is?
My career, this and that.
but she's going home
Wish I
for
was.
Christmas.
Small towns are the worst. I'm a big city career gal.
This is a Christmas movie.
Oh my god, are you okay?
I am now.
He's gonna move to his
And
farm
she's about to learn
for his
the meaning
VPN.
of Nordmas. The most VPNist time of year with a 30-day money-back guarantee if you go to nordvpn.com/internethistorian. Soon I will have installed public Wi-Fi in all of Nordville, and once they use it, their private data will be exposed. Governor Craven's got this town by
Whoa,
the
my
balls,
God, he's
And I
swole.
can't believe that big city company you work for works with him.
Come on, we have to put up the Nordmas lights for the big Nordmas festival.
What?
I love Nordmas.
Let's go ice skating. What?
He's so cute, but I'm a city girl.
Girl, you sound like you're in love.
I thought I knew what Nordmas meant, but it means nothing without you.
It's like the end of March.
It's always Nordmas time of year with Nord's huge discount on a 2-year plan. Use the URL, nordvpn.com/internetstory for a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's the best VPN in town.
Now I
Oh my
love small town,
God.
and I'm in love with Nordman. But I can't leave behind big city Korea.
True love and a really good VPN don't come around too much. You gotta take a chance.
Boss, I don't care about making partner at the firm anymore. I've found my new home.
Big public Wi-Fi is spreading across the city. Nordmas will be ruined. Ho, ho, ho.
Santa.
How are we gonna stop him, Nordman?
Kill him.
This Nord-themed brick.
Oh. It'll be a gun.
I love you, Nordman.
And I love you.
Look, he's gonna
big
call
city
the
woman.
Texas
Let's go
Hammer.
home and watch the international Netflix catalog. It's a Nordmas miracle. Go to nordvpn.com
More like Nordmas.
historian to get a huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus Nordmas months. Ads over.
Alright,
You
we're
know,
back.
that ad makes me think about the time I nearly had a wife. Feels like a lifetime ago now.
More like a wife time ago.
I was in Japan, living the digital nomad lifestyle. I had
Yes,
started
he's gonna skip
selling
No Man's Sky.
seashells down by the seashore. but I broke the one
That
rule
looked like
of
a
being a
skull.
digital nomad. I got mad. Digitally. And that's when I saw her. It was love at
Oh my
first
God.
sight. I remember her laugh,
She a mermaid?
her touch. Every morning, breakfast in bed. But the truth was, I had no money. We
Great
couldn't live
breakfast.
on love alone. So I left. I sought out.
Did I go deaf? Oh, the
And I
shark
bet
bit
you're
is
wondering
copyrighted.
how I finally
Okay.
struck it rich. Well, the truth
Sharks!
is, I'm the guy who invented the Joe Rogan podcast.
If you didn't say
Once
it now, I
became
would
a
have never known.
gajillionaire, I went back to that beach to
I
try and find
didn't hear
her.
his take.
But
Or
instead,
his
I
thing for
hit
it.
her with my boat.
She's
We
gonna
never
call the
found
Texas
her
Hammer.
body. But she had a secret. One she took to her grave that I was sworn not to tell. She's not around, so... Dude, she was a mermaid!
Hey, I called it.
Come on, champ, we're going to Japan. And here's where it all begins. In the year 2022.
That
It's a
was so
Tuesday.
long ago.
And local folklore researcher Hiroshi Kinoshita is looking up some fantastical animals in the National Yokai Dictionary. It's like the bestiary from Witcher, right? And he comes across
Yeah, I
a
get it.
photo negative of a mermaid
Yeah.
mummy. Oh my god, he says in Japanese. Upon seeing the mermaid, he knows that he must track it down. He must form a team. Researchers, assemble. So he gets together the best damn crew that he can
What's
from the
so
University
fancy
of
about this?
Science and Arts at the Okayama Prefecture. And he plans
Okay.
to track down the mermaid mummy, wherever it has escaped to. Now, it doesn't take him long to figure out that it's being held at the Inuin Temple in Asakuchi. You know the one. So he struts up to the sacred building. And there at the back of the temple is a fireproof safe. And inside of that is an old wooden box. And inside the old
That's
wooden
not
box
fireproof.
was the mermaid. We found it! We found a real one! But where did it come from? Well, alongside the mermaid was a note that dated back from 1903, and it said,
Okay.
a dried human fish, aka Ningyo, was caught almost 300 years ago over in the seas of Tosa. It was then dried out and taken to Osaka. And from there, it was passed around to many different people until it arrived at the temple. Now, the Ningyo have an important history in Japan, and sightings of these half-fish, half-human creatures have cropped up all across the country. Kinoshita himself had personally tracked down 13 of them, all across Japan, usually kept in museums and temples.
Damn, those
However,
things
what
are
you might
ugly.
not know is that traditionally they have been associated with bad omens. Aye. And everyone knows the infamous tale of Yao Bikuni.
Yeah.
But I'll recite it to
No,
you
like
just
the
in case.
back of my
So
head,
the story
thank you.
is that one day,
For the
a
viewer.
poor fisherman
I know
catches
it.
the biggest fish of his life. It was a strange-looking fish, and its head was almost human-like. But he brought the fish home and invited all of his friends and family to come over for a feast to celebrate his largest catch. You know, he's got his arms stretched out like this. He's like, it was this big. No, it was this big. I swear, it was this big. During dinner, one of the guests sneaks into the kitchen to see just how big it was. This big? I can't believe it. And he discovers that it is actually a Ningyo. Oh no!
His
he
eyes on the
says in
side, too.
perfect Japanese. Now he quickly warns the other guests, don't eat it. And he warns them just in time. Teishi! They've got their fork, like right up to their mouth. Teishi eating that! Teishi, don't do it! They throw all their food away. Let's just have some rice and drink the night away. Okay, so they do. And they have a lovely evening. However,
Okay.
one
You
very
just believe them?
dishonorable guest decided to sneak a bit of the meat out of the trash and put it in his pocket.
Oh, not mouth.
He then goes home drunk and falls asleep. He didn't eat it. But when he woke up the next morning, he checks his pockets and... no! The delicious fish piece is gone.
Definitely
Turns
lose
out,
it because he
in
was
the night,
drunk.
his daughter had been rummaging around in his pockets looking
Why?
for treasure, and she found the meat from his pocket. And she was such a greedy guts that she decided to eat it then and there. The father was terrified for his daughter. But she didn't seem to be sick. Do you feel weird at all? And shaking her. He decided not to tell her anything. Maybe it'll all
She's
be
gonna transform into a Nino, right?
However, from
I know
that
the
day
story.
forward, the daughter never aged.
Oh.
That's right. She remained a young adult forever. She eventually went on to marry. But as her husband got older, she stayed the same age. Eventually her father got old and died. And soon enough did her husband too. Everyone she ever knew was getting older and dying, but she remained the same age. She was immortal. Eventually,
witch.
at age 120, she decided to shave her head and become a Japanese nun. She traveled the country, planting trees as she went, and she did this for 800 years. But eventually, she grew
Quite a
tired.
hobby.
You know what? I'm tired of living. She entered a cave in her hometown of Obama. And she was determined to never come out again. She begged
Oh, I thought she
and
did
prayed
something.
for the curse to end, but it never did. She sat in that cave for so long that she turned to stone.
Okay.
And today, at the F3ncy Temple in Obama, remains the cave that Yao
Is that
Bakuni
her?
entered. People have been into that cave to check whether she's still in there, but nothing was found. However,
She's
a stone
outside.
statue of her resides at the entrance. And colloquially, it is called the Barack Obama. So we're back with Hiroshi. He asked the F3ncy Temple if he could borrow the
I don't believe that last
Let
part.
me do a little CT scan on it, right? And they agreed. Hiroshi hands the Nino to a team of scientists, and they get to work. They do their tests.
Oh,
Beep, beep, boop.
MRI.
Control plus scan on the keyboard, and here are the results.
Is that hard?
Stage 4 cancer.
No.
No, but really, turns out the Nino dates back to the 1800s. The note that said it was from the 1700s was wrong. Its body is made from cloth and cotton, wrapped in pufferfish skin. The tail was made from a croaker. I don't know what that is. Can we show that on the screen?
Fish.
With the mouth of a different fish and the hair of a mammal. And they can see that there's a metal nail in its back. Oh my god, it's
That would be
invented
terrible
tools.
for MRI.
Aye. The forensic analysis and the construction
They probably
materials
didn't
in
do
its
that.
back did cast some doubt over its authenticity. But you gotta believe in something, damn it. Aye. As promised,
weird
the
small
Nino was
mermaid
returned to
fish
the F3ncy Temple,
man.
where it still lives today. But where, oh where, did my mermaid go? It's her! You're back! You know what, I kind of missed you. And what the hell is that?
Daddy.
It's probably
You know what, I never did
worst,
find her again. I think these things are a big myth.
the worst thing they've ever put out. I thought the video's on.
We're here on the ancient streets of Cairo.
Oh
And
my
there
God.
is our destination.
Indiana
In these
historian.
triangles, the greatest luxury that all the elites crave. Oh God, no, not that. The second most thing that mummies. You can find them in these tombs, and there's only ever like one dude guarding them. But before we take, we must understand. Mummification started over 5,000 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a
And they were
while.
first discovered by the Europeans in the 15th century. But the legend goes the locals knew about them even earlier than that. It's an elaborate process, but essentially you're drying the person out, turning them into a human salami. Alright, so when the Europeans
You take
found
out
all
like
these
brain and
mummies,
stuff.
what do you think they did?
I think organs as well.
Put it in a museum, right? Wrong. They used these mothers for everything, and everybody wanted them.
Yeah,
What do you mean they used them for everything? Well, fancy people would take whole mummies and show them off to their friends at fancy dinners. To really show off the owner's wealth, they would sometimes unwrap them too. They were used as paint. They call this mummy brown.
Yeah, that's
by
what I
the way.
heard about.
They were used as
Wasn't this in one of the
fertilizer.
previous videos?
Man,
Painting
talk
ones?
about supercharging your soil.
They were even consumed.
Don't mind if I do.
Yeah.
No, not like this. By grinding them up into powder and taking them like a herbal supplement, which they
okay.
called mumia. But with such high demand for your mum,
That's how you say
after
mommy
a
in
while,
Russian.
they began
Mumia.
to run out of stock.
No shit.
Uh-oh. They were becoming rarer and rarer to find. They were being gobbled off the face of the earth. So the authorities passed a bunch of laws to protect mummies from becoming altogether extinct. These are the last two of their species, and they're both male, but they won't mate. No. But the mummy is much like the Tasmanian tiger. Every once in a while, one will just kinda show up and prove that they're not altogether extinct.
Open the door.
The year 2013. The location,
No.
Deifuls in northwest Germany. We are at the Kettler household, owned by grandfather Kettler, who is now dead. But he had a son,
What a good-
Lutz Kettler. And Lutz
No.
Kettler also had a son, Alexander Kettler. And they are both there at the house. After a rainy day, there was a leak in the roof. So 10-year-old
That happens,
Kettler
yeah.
gets up into the attic to explore. You know, have a bit of a look around. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. Old antiques,
That's what happens to attics.
photographs,
apparently.
and, some old roof tiles. Those will be useful. So he goes over to the roof tiles and, behind them is something strange. A box. A mystery box. Now the kid
Loot
is smart
box.
and he's seen Jumanji, so he knows not to touch the box and instead go tell his dad. Now the dad drags the box into the center of the
He
room
hasn't seen Jumanji.
and he opens it.
Neither have I. I
inside-
only seen the space knockoff.
A smaller box. But it's
Oh,
very
Egyptian.
curious because it is covered in hieroglyphs. So Lutz crosses his fingers,
similar to
hoping nothing
Egyptian.
supernatural
Maybe I'm
will
wrong.
happen. And he opens the inner box. Inside is a mummy. Oh my god. But there's more. There's also two smaller boxes. One contained a death mask, and the other a canopic jar. Alright, so he might
Yeah,
have a
isn't
dead
it-
body in, and the
Yeah, okay. Canopic is the four organs. Was the death mask? And they were thought to protect the soul. Oh.
other a canopic jar. Alright, so he
Say
might
the
have a
HD
dead
on
body
it.
in the house now. So naturally, he calls the authorities.
That was
Police
why
show
was
up
it
and
in
ask some
Russian?
questions.
Is there no
Lutz then
other
explains a little bit
call
of
animation
backstory.
to use?
He remembers that in the 1950s, his father went to Derna
Some kind of New
in Libya.
Zealandian?
There, he acquired a chest and had it shipped back home. He remembers a conversation about it, but grandfather Kettler insisted that it was a replica. Das ist ein Replika, son. Not a real mummified person. Now, at this point, the police did not think it was a real body, but it was worth getting it scanned just in case. So he loaded it up in his station wagon, and off he went to the Berlin Archaeological Institute. Now, they
Alright.
agreed to do a scan, and so they're fiddling with buttons and dials and stuff.
Again, I
and,
probably didn't do an
fake,
MRI
right?
just in
It's fake.
case.
well, here's where things get a little more
Metal will be
dramatic.
A
Results
problem.
inconclusive. There is a fully formed skeleton here. Now, that is unusual for a fake. Often a fake will just be shaped like a person, then filled with
Yeah, that
sticks,
wouldn't make
cloth,
sense
and
then.
rubbish. However, it got even stranger.
Let's make a fake out
They
of
found that all
human.
of the bones were wrapped in some sort of metal plating or foil.
It's Wolverine.
Next, they looked at the skull, and that's where things were the most odd. It was very realistic. Its teeth had roots. Its form was more intricate than the typical fake. It also had a laurel, but even more notably, there was an arrowhead lodged in the eye socket.
Oh, that's what
Now
that is.
that is very unusual.
I thought
for
maybe
a
it's a
fake.
device to get
Hold
the
on, I
brain
got more
out.
evidence to do. So
Like
they're
one of the
doing more
tubes.
tests and stuff. All right, we've carbon tested the linen wraps. What's the verdict? Well, those are from the 1900s. Now the plot is thickening. We have a supposed fake mummy, but with a very realistic skull,
Yeah.
perhaps murdered by an arrow to the head and bandages that date to the modern day. That presents a new problem, because it's not unheard of for people to do a murder in the modern day and then cover things up by disguising the body as an ancient artifact. For
That's
example,
a lot of
in
way
the
to
year
go through it.
2000, there was a man who claimed he found the mummy of an ancient Persian princess, the daughter of Xerxes. However, when they examined the body, they found it was, in fact, a potential murder victim from 1996 who died from bludgeoning. All right, so the police now actually have to get involved. And
Okay.
it's about to get even more complicated. So they
Sure, go ahead.
confiscate the body and they do their own tests. And the results this time say, nope, this thing is 2,000 years old. It's not fake at all. It's ancient.
Was it just rewrapped in 1900s
So eventually
for
the
some
experts
reason?
will get together and go, okay, this is dumb. Let's take it to Eppendorf University and have it properly tested, and not just tested, crack the thing open like a delicious Kinder Surprise. So this new set of
Yum.
experts gets to work, and when they open up the mummy...
We get
Alright,
cursed.
remember how we said that the bones were covered in a special type of foil or metal plating?
Uh-huh.
Well, it turns out the scientists didn't quite get that right. Instead, the bones were sprayed with a metallic chemical that prevented X-rays from going through. The bones were made from plastic. Or at least,
Oh.
the body was.
Okay.
Turns out, the skull is real. Yes, a real skull, and not from an ancient mummy, but from a 20th century man.
Oh.
However, it was not a murder. This skull is from a cadaver, and it was medically prepared for educational purposes.
How did it
And
end
what
up
about that
here?
arrowhead? Well, it turns out that that's from a children's toy. Someone just popped that in the eye socket as a joke. So finally,
Hilarious.
the mystery
But-
was solved. It's just a plastic skeleton with a real dead guy's head put on it. Wait, how does that solve the mystery? Anyway, so Lutz was satisfied that the whole thing was fake and not a murder victim. Oh, let's put that back in the attic, he said very Germanly. But
Yeah.
then, eine Bitte? Was ist das? He says. Another box?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
The Book of the Dead? Well, that sounds like a fun read. So Lutz starts reading
It
the
just summons
ancient Egyptian out
Imhotep.
loud. Anaxunamun, Imhotep, Brendan Fraser. And what happened next?
Oh no,
Will
Brendan
shock
Fraser.
and make for a very good thumbnail.
Sure, probably does. Didn't look at the thumbnail.
Hey there, champ. You're probably wondering why I'm out here on this park bench. Sometimes I just come to see the autumn.
Hollow
leaves.
Knight music, that's what this is.
Winter will be here soon.
When you sit on the bench.
Dust in the
Not
wind.
necessarily bench.
Safe. Truth is, sport, I have a highly contagious respiratory disease.
Oh
I
no.
won't be around much longer. Dust in the wind. I'm like Willy Wonka from that movie. And you're like that ugly
Was he
kid
sick?
from the Willy Wonka movie who gets all his stuff. Or the Oompa Loompa. I don't know. I haven't seen it. The point is you're so close to being fancy. I can feel it. There's just one
I am.
lesson left to learn. Anyway, speaking of ancient Egypt,
Only one?
here's
Okay.
this ancient Egyptian gun.
Oh.
Franz Ferdinand, what are you doing here? Of course, he's not the real Franz Ferdinand. He's a mummy. Now, the thing about the ancient Egyptian gun is that it's very sensitive. Uh-oh.
World War One.
I hit your congratulations for being somewhat fancy cake. Come on, Mr. Ferdinand. We've got to clean this up before the Park Services Commission hears about this, and they make another complaint. Right, we're almost done with the series, and then it's back to the usual content. So in case you missed it, there's also drinking on Incognito.
Usual
a
content
new
of
story mode out
No
next week.
videos for half a year.
And if you like fancy, that's great. But if you don't like fancy, don't worry, it's not forever.
I like fancy.
Goodbye. Ooh.
It does
Don't
feel
forget
more like.
NordVPN.
How could I forget? It does feel more like a full series could be on his Incognito Mode channel, but I still enjoy it. I don't really care. It's entertaining either way. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching this. This was a great video. I think it's my favorite because there's multiple topics in it, and then the ending story with the German mummy thing. That was great. I don't know what else to say, so thank you everybody for watching this. I appreciate it a lot. I hope to see you next time, and goodbye. Have a great life, because one of us has to.